Good morning, Emina.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024 and the first SEOs Getting Coffee of this year. I have my classic red mug all the way from university. This has stayed with me.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. I have my Leo and Marshmallow mug, which are my cats, which I got as a present. And it's a great, great mug to start the new year.
Let's dive right in. I think the question that we're going to discuss and ask today is, why is keyword research important? So yeah, let's kick off, Emina. And why is keyword research important for SEO?
Well, I mean, look, the crux of it really is that your keyword research, or better yet, your topic, subtopic, and keyword research is it's the crux of your strategy. I mean, if you don't think about what you want to rank for, what are the areas, what are the kind of the topics that you want to rank for closely, you end up ranking for things that are just not relevant. If you're ranking for things that are not relevant, you don't reach your audience. So all the traffic that you're actually getting is not going to translate into revenue because it's just not the right audience. So It's important because it's the basis of your strategy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I often say is that it's like starting a digital marketing strategy or an SEO strategy without keyword research is kind of like standing in a room and shouting out answers to questions that nobody's asking. So you just, shouting out random pieces of information that doesn't answer anybody's questions, or actually what anybody's, actually asking you the answers, the questions for. So you're just kind of putting information out there without any kind of idea about, well, actually what are my audience actually interested in, and what is the things that they're actually searching for. And I think that's the key thing really, is that keyword research it's not only obviously about discovering the keywords, but it's about trying to understand the intent of your audience, what they're searching for and what their pain points are. And then it helps you to not only obviously create content that answers those questions and helps your audience, but it gives you the opportunity to actually learn more about your service and your product, because and basically the gaps where you can obviously fulfill and improve your services and products as well, like and your content. So yeah, I think the best way that I can kind of think about it is that you're standing in a room and shouting out the answers to questions that no one's asking if you don't do it. Whereas if you do keyword research beforehand, you're responding and you're listening first. You're listening to the audience and you're listening to what they're looking to get answers for. So if you provide content for that, then you stand a much higher chance of ranking high with your content and getting traffic for it, because people are actually searching for it.
Yeah, and one of the things that you've said there, which for me is really super important around keyword research and often actually forgotten by in-house teams and by agencies in particular, is this connection to the audience and to the customer. One of the things that kind of happens is often companies think they want to rank for something when actually it doesn't have any grounding in what their audience is interested in. It doesn't have any grounding in intent, what the intent is behind those keywords. So it's very important to kind of approach it from an audience, customers first perspective, because those are the people you're trying to reach. It's not about volume of keywords so much as it is about the right fit to your audience and the right intent. Obviously, volume is it's important but even some zero volume keywords, we've seen it with our clients, where some of the zero volume keywords are not actually zero, by the way. It's just that they're smaller than, these tools
Yeah.
that SEMrush can't catch it. We've seen with our clients getting amazing results from a group of zero volume keywords, because that audience that is coming is so high intent. It's the right audience, and
it's super specific, and to that search, and that search intent, that it stands a high chance of having a high, a good chance of having a high conversion rate, because it's suited and so specific to that particular search. And I think that's a key point as well, is that you can often get distracted by the kind of average search volume metrics. And I think one thing to always bear in mind is that it's average search volume, so that's going to change across across the year. It's going to be seasonal, potentially, and it's going to be an average. Like, some months you might have more, some months you might have way less. But if you've got a search term that has an average search volume of below 10 or even 0, that's an average, right? So it's not always going to be like that. It might have ups and downs, which is why obviously it's always good not to ignore those, because they might have, like you said, they might have such good intent for your particular business or your website, that you could be in a situation where that actually might have a really high conversion rate and might be able to make you some be a good lead and make you some revenue for your website, your business. And
it's not zero. This is what people sometimes forget. Like, the best way to check is there any searches is if you just input that keyword into Google itself. If it has like suggested searches on the bottom, it means that somebody is searching for it. And I'm telling you, I've never put in a keyword with zero volume into Google and not had the suggested keywords.
I think that's it. People often ask, like, what's the best keyword research tool? And it's like, you've got one, right? Just Google. Just use Google.
I mean, it's very manual, and obviously when you're working,
but that's where that's like a starting point. Completely, and that's it. It's like your suggested, kind of autofill suggested searches and things, and also, those types of things can obviously lead you down paths that obviously help you to produce content, right? And get some ideas of what some potential search queries you could target. So I think one of the questions and one of the things that I had actually is thinking about when does a search query become a keyword, or are they actually so interchangeable and synonymous with each other? But actually, I was thinking about this: search query and a keyword are different things, right?
How do you mean?
Search query, right? You have a search query which might be by fly fishing rod online, right? Fly fishing course, right? But say your keyword that you're going after is like, fly fishing, right? That's your keyword. But you might have a search query, which is the search query of, like, say, buy fly fishing course or something like that, right? Or buy fly fishing rod or something, right?
Really interesting, because wouldn't you say that that's just another keyword? So I kind of think of it as in topics, subtopics, keywords. So for me, fly fishing would be the topic. The keyword would be buy fly fishing rods.
Yeah.
And no, actually, for me, fishing would be the topic. One of the subtopics would be fly fishing. And then the keywords would be fly fishing, buy fly fishing rods, all of those other ones. Because if you think about a company that does fishing, only if the only service that they have is fly fishing, then the topic is fly fishing. But most likely, if they're a fishing company, they're going to do fly fishing. They're going to be, other types of fishing, other subtopics that they might want to. But it's interesting. You say that keywords and queries are different.
Well, I'm saying that there's like there's a slight difference in when does a search query become a keyword, And that's like, I think it's a good consideration point for people to kind of think upon when they're doing keyword research, because it's like what you're doing is you're doing keyword research to find search queries that have enough popularity that actually that search query can change to become your keyword that you target. Does that make sense? So like everything that goes into a search engine is a search query, right? But within those search queries are your keywords, is what I'm trying to say. So like, you know, you might have like a longer sentence of like, you know, where to buy the best fly fishing equipment. But in there is your keyword is fly fishing equipment, right?
Oh,
so
or is it the whole thing?
But that's what I mean. But that whole thing, then that search query, if it has enough popularity, that whole thing can become your keyword. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that like, are they synonymous and interchangeable to the point where, you know, search queries do become keywords? And I think that's like a good thing to kind of think about, is that during the keyword research process, is that, you know, you're finding these popular search queries which have enough volume, and sometimes obviously, you know, it's better to go after, you know, lower competition keywords for you to produce a piece of content that then that becomes your keyword, right? So yeah, I guess that's that kind of what I'm trying to get to, I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand kind of, I mean, for
But a
me,
nice segue into fishing nonetheless. So.
yeah, for me personally, like search queries is just a term for, you know, it's just another term for keywords that are inputted into keywords or questions or anything that people are asking in a search engine is a search query. Oh, that's such a tongue twister for me.
Yeah.
And that's what you see in like console. You see, they don't call them keywords; they call them queries, but they're still keywords for us as SEOs. For me, they're still keywords.
Well, that's it. When does a keyword? Maybe that's the question. When does a keyword become a keyword? Very philosophical. I think that the last kind of example I was recently doing, not too long ago, just before the new year. I was doing a quick consultancy with a client that had it's good demonstration really. They had their blog, and my advice to them essentially was that they had, you know, been working on their blog for a long time, but they hadn't done any keyword research. So they're producing really good content, they're producing really good blogs, but the content that they're writing is just like, oh, I've got an idea to write about this, and they'll write about it. Oh, I've got an idea to write about this, and they'll write about it. And that's great because the content's really good. The problem is that they've got no rankings. So they've got over 100 blogs on the blog section of their website, but there's no rankings, there's no keywords, it's not driving any traffic, but it's because they haven't done any keyword research. So my advice to them, of course, was to say, well, look, keyword research, we can do, you know, basically content mapping, keyword mapping, have a look at these and basically change these to actually fulfill the search queries that are happening, of the things that people are actually asking. And it's not, you know, some of those will be easier to change than others. Some of them might need a slight adjustment in the actual kind of content on page, but in general, that kind of goes to as a good example to kind of show why, you know, keyword research is important, is because you can end up, like I say, answering the questions and providing the content that no one's looking for, whereas you need to be providing the content and answering the questions that people are looking for.
And it's also about this is the kind of, even if you have amazing content, the first thing that you want is that content to actually be seen. So a piece of content can be amazing in line with your audience, but if it's not seen, then what is it giving? Where's the value for the business? And that's where keyword research also comes in. I mean, sometimes a piece of content not everything is written for search. Sometimes you'll write a piece of content for your sales.
Yeah, of course.
So that's not everything needs to be based on a keyword analysis. And obviously I don't think you should always try to put, you know, a square peg into a round hole when you have a really good piece of content and then an SEO comes in and changes it to the point where it's unrecognizable because they think that you should rank for this keyword. It's not about that. But it is about having an idea of what the strategy is in terms of SEO. And this is where keyword research comes in, and it needs to align with your sales, with your customer service, with everything basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think and like finally, I think that, one of the points as well is of course it's just user experience. It's like, the keyword research will just generate a whole better user experience anyway, and that's one of the things that should be like, as one of the most important things, is you just try to make sure that the users and your audience that you're attracting to your website and getting them to come there, is that they have a good user experience and that their search intent is fulfilled when they hit your site. Because if it is, then it's likely that Google's going to reward that, and it's likely that Google is going to rank you higher, and you're going to get more traffic and you're going to get more leads from that. So
exactly. Do we want to finish with quick 3 tips for keyword research?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Number 1, 3 tips for keyword research is: don't ignore the lower volume keywords, and always check more than one resource for that. So like, don't just rely on, say, your SEO software, so SEMrush or Ahrefs or whichever one you're using. Look on Google as well, and look, always look in a couple of different sources. So don't ignore the lower search volume keywords. Number 2 for you?
Are you going to go with all 3 of them, or
I'll do one, you do one, and then we'll decide on the third.
Okay. Number 2, make sure that your keyword research starts with the most important thing, which is your customers. So ask your customers what are the questions that they want to be asking. Ask them what they search for. Talk to them. Talk to your sales. Talk to your customer service. Don't just think about, oh, these are the keywords that I want to rank for. That is not, it's about knowing your business and knowing your customer. So start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes into user experience. I think that's the, like we just mentioned. Number 3. For number 3, you got one for number 3?
Yeah, I got one. Keyword research shouldn't be about the actual keywords, because that's not how search works. And we didn't talk about it in this episode, but we spoke about EEAT quite a lot in one of our other episodes. So who hasn't watched it, please have a look. It's not about the keywords. It's actually about kind of building your expertise and building your brand and your company in a specific area, specific topics. So rather than thinking about, oh, these are the keywords, why not think about, first, what do my customers want? And then topics, subtopics, and then the keywords, because that gives you a really good, first, it gives you a very organized way of seeing things. Then it also gives you a way of creating your content calendar so that it corresponds to certain subtopics. For example, it gives you a great way to evaluate the market opportunity in a particular subtopic, because you can see like a combination between volume and intent for each of the subtopics if you do the analysis, and you can prioritize then, okay, this subtopic is giving me lots of volume, great intent, my customer love it, let's start with that first. So it's a brilliant way of segmenting your data for tracking, because you can use then your topics and subtopics in SEMrush, for example, to tag your keywords. So each campaign that you're running on a subtopic, you can see the reporting on a campaign level.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I think finally, as a bonus one, I guess, as well, is keyword difficulty metric, right? Is that, just to remind everyone, that is a made up metric that the SEO software use, right? So everybody has their own version of that, or most do. it's an estimation, right? So it's an estimate of the difficulty of that keyword in terms of its competitiveness. It's not gospel. It's not, yeah, you just take it with a pinch of salt, do more research, because you can rank for high difficulty keywords with, a low authority young site. In some scenarios, you've just got to research further, look at what's currently ranking there. You've got to use different sources. Likewise, you might have a really easy keyword that has a really easy difficulty level, but actually it's actually very difficult to rank for that because you've got some big players there that are already ranking for that keyword. So just make sure that obviously that keyword difficulty metric is also taken with a pinch of salt, and also, continue the research really and look at other sources. Room 404 for this week.
I have one.
You do?
I mean, I kind of have one. As you know, Chrome is going to be depreciating third-party cookies soon. And I mean, I'd love to room 404 that whole field because I mean, I love it, by the way, and I'm going to be writing a piece on it, hopefully, kind of what companies can do to prepare. But a part of me does wish that I could just room 404 that, because it is.
And you'd rather keep third-party cookies? Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, I'd room 404 all of the research that we need to do now to prepare for it.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
It's I agree with the privacy side of it, and I think it's really needed. However, it's a complexity that has come in that we should have. I mean, to be fair, that's something I've been looking into for quite a while now, because we've known that it's going to happen. It happened on other browsers. But I'd still like to kind of room 404 some of the stuff that's coming out. I
think it's an annoyance, isn't it, to marketers? I think, and it makes it, it just makes everyone's job and day to day, more difficult. But I think mainly the impact, that it could have, is that it makes obviously internal teams and agencies and anybody that's reporting to, stakeholders and, business owners, excuse me, is that, if it makes reporting more difficult or things like that, it just obviously creates more of a thorn in the side of people of marketers that are just trying to, do their jobs and try to prove results and show the value of their work. Even though I think obviously, getting, third-party cookies, there's obviously a lot of privacy issues, and taking a step in the right direction. So it's a very polarizing and very complex issue. So yeah, room 404ing. What are we room 404ing exactly? Third-party cookies are going into they're going to room 404 anyway, so we may as well just kick them along and get them in there, because they're going anyway.
I think I wouldn't like room 404 third-party cookies. What I would room 404 is the vagueness and the complexity of how this is being done, and the monopoly as well that this will create when it comes.
I think there's risks there, isn't there? I think that's the main thing. I think the risk is that it's a move in the direction to allow Google to obviously be more of a gatekeeper over having some, things that are not, they're not advertiser facing, like they're not client, they're not person facing. It's all going to be behind the the secret Google gate, and they're going to be the gatekeeper of that, and encouraging everybody just to use Google for everything, basically, and having no room for alternative platforms and other platforms. So yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
So let's room for that, not third-party cookies.
Fair enough. Whatever that's called. Whatever that's called.
How ambiguous.
Yeah, it's more of
the lines it is.
Yeah. Fair enough. Good. Well, thank you everyone for this week. Interesting conversation regarding keyword research. We'll be back next week again for another episode of SEOs Getting Coffee. You know, please let us know if you have any questions, or if there's any topics that you'd like us to cover. You know, let us know if there's any questions. And yeah, maybe even some SEOs would like to stop by for a chat and join us for a coffee one day. Who knows? But yeah, thanks, Emina. I will speak to you shortly. See you later, everyone. Bye.